Hi everybody. Better late than never. My Game Week 10 reactions. I got quite a few spot on this week, so that was very good. I was proud of myself for that. First game, Newcastle 1, Arsenal nil. What did I say? I said Newcastle 1, Arsenal nil. And yeah, Arsenal have come a bit unstuck recently. Only 1 point from a possible 9 in their last 3 games. Lost to Bournemouth, now lost to Newcastle. Yeah, they're struggling a little bit. Also lost, I see in the Champions League to Inter last night as well. So they are going through a bit of a rough patch, just like Manchester City, who also lost to Tottenham, Bournemouth, and now Sporting Lisbon in 3 consecutive games. So the only team that's really putting their foot on the gas is Liverpool. And that they're coming up next. I thought Brighton would beat Liverpool. It looked like Brighton were about to beat Liverpool. I said it would be 2-0 to Liverpool. It was actually 2-1 to Liverpool. So Liverpool did still get 2 goals and they did still get the win, but they had to come from behind to do it. But a win is a win, and Slot is having a very good start to his Liverpool career. They're not fading in the Champions League, and they're not fading in the Premier League. So, yeah, so far having a better season, I would say, than Manchester City and Arsenal. So, yeah, well done to them. But yeah, they relied on Cody Gakpo and Mo Salah to get them a quick turnaround to get a 2-1 victory. Next game, Ipswich versus Leicester. I said it would be Ipswich for win. Ipswich 2, Leicester 1. What actually happened is Ipswich almost hung on to get a 1-0 victory, but then conceded a stoppage time goal to Jordan Ayew, who moved recently from Crystal Palace to Leicester, and it was a 1-1 draw. I think that's a pretty fair result for this kind of clash. Yeah, pretty fair result. Ipswich haven't won a game at all this season. Let's hope Spurs can keep them to that going into this weekend, but I'll get into those predictions later. Okay, Bournemouth 2, Manchester City 1. Wow. Evan Nielsen, Semenyo scoring for Bournemouth, getting them a victory. Josko Gvardiol trying to get to get Man City back on track, but it was too little too late. They ended up losing 2-1. Haaland drew a blank. That's very unusual. But yeah, Bournemouth flying. They've beaten Arsenal and they've beaten Man City now. That's 2 very good scalps for them. 6 points where probably most people would have said they would have got 0. 6 additional points for them at the end of the season, which could be the difference between finishing somewhere around 14th and finishing somewhere around 9th or 10th. So yeah, they're having a good start to their season, it must be said. But City, like Arsenal, having a bit of a rough patch. City have now lost 3 consecutive games, having lost to Tottenham last week in midweek, losing to Bournemouth on the weekend, and then losing to Sporting Lisbon away from home in the Champions League last night. So yeah, losing 2-1, 2-1, and then 4-1 to Sporting. Very strange. They've shipped 8 goals and only scored 3 in their last 3 games. So that's getting a bit worrying for Pep. Are they missing Rodri? Just quite a bit. Maybe. All right, Southampton, Everton. Another one I got spot on. Another 1-0 that I got spot on. Seems that was my lucky scoreline for this weekend. I said it would be Southampton 1, Everton 0, and Southampton would actually get their first win. And that is exactly what happened. Southampton did get their first win. Everton were denied a late penalty, which could have made it 1-1. And yet, fair play to Southampton. They've got their first 3 points on the board, and they're looking a bit, at least, they can say they're maybe doing better than than Wolves and Ipswich, who actually have not got a single win yet. At least Southampton can say we've got wins. So, yeah, good to them. Nottingham Forest 3, West Ham 1. I actually thought West Ham would get a sneak victory here. I said it would be Nottingham Forest 1, West Ham 2. Actually, West Ham got a red card and then got smashed 3-0. So they've been smashed 3-0 by Chelsea. They've been smashed 4-1 by Tottenham. They've been smashed 3-0 by Nottingham Forest. They've been beaten 2-1 by Aston Villa. It's just really not looking good for West Ham United. Lopetegui, I think, is very, very close to the sack. At the moment, I would probably say he's next in line for the sack race. I did put out a video saying that I think Postecoglou might be next, but I think maybe in the last week the tide has shifted slightly because of Spurs beating City and Villa, and then us playing Ipswich this weekend. If we can have won all of those games, I think Postecoglou is definitely no longer the top candidate for the sack. I'd say at the moment it has to probably be Lopetegui, actually. I think the power it has shifted now to being Lopetegui. I think if Forest had at least gotten even a draw out of this Forest game, then maybe he could have had somewhat of a chance, but to get smashed 3-0, it's poor. It's poor. Forest and West Ham should at the worst be on a similar level. So this is looking very bad for West Ham United. Okay, next game. I said it would be Wolves 1, Crystal Palace 1. What actually happened was it was a draw, but a bit higher scoring. Wolves 2, Crystal Palace 2. And yeah, this game just had draw written all over it. Two teams that are struggling to get wins, but two teams that kind of do manage to grind out draws. And Wolves have not won a game yet. Crystal Palace can at least say they got one win, courtesy of Dr. Tottenham. And Wolves now sit rock bottom of the league. It's looking really bad for Gary O'Neill. Him and the guy I just discussed previously, Julian Lopetegui, they have to be joint number 2 on everyone's list for the sack race. Those two are really on borrowed time now. They really, really are. I think the only thing that O'Neill has in his favour is that he just signed a massive bumper-long contract. And I think the fans will be a bit more patient of him than what West Ham fans will with Julian Lopetegui. So I think Lopetegui is still maybe my number 2 in terms after Ten Hag being sacked. But I would most certainly put Gary O'Neill at number 3. Yeah, they kind of have to get all 3 points at some point really soon because it's almost 3 months of the season and they haven't got a single 3-pointer. Next, Tottenham 4, Aston Villa 1. What did I say? I got the right result. I just didn't predict Spurs would run as right as what they did. I said it would be a narrow 2-1 victory to Spurs. But I did kind of back them to get the victory just because they really needed to after that loss to Crystal Palace. And yes, they did back it up very nicely in their very next league game. They were at home and they absolutely... First half was Aston Villains. Second half was Aston Victims. Because, 1-0 to Aston Villa at half-time. Ended up Spurs score 4 on the bounce in the second half and ends up being 4-1 to Tottenham. Dominic Solanke played brilliantly. Even when he didn't score his goals, he was playing brilliantly. He was pressing forward. He's off the ball. His work rate, his speed, his recovery was excellent. His defense in the box to protect Vicario off the corners is also becoming quite an underrated talent of his. He offers one more body there, which can help to head and get the ball away from Vicario. And he just showed that clever dink ball over Martinez. That was very clever, very striker-esque. And then just being right place, right time to get off the end of Richarlison's pass and to just nick it into the net. And that's why you have a striker, and fair play to him. 2 goals, and he needed goals, especially 2. Makes it even better. He needed another league goal, and the fact he got 2 just is a cherry on top. And then Maddison's free kick, oh my word, excellent. Excellent, and his first, he took that kick so quickly. Villa didn't have time to adjust their wall. Martinez didn't have time to react. The whistle went, and within 1 second, Maddison had kicked that ball and it had basically flown into the back of the net. Martinez almost seemed to react. He only actually started moving once the ball was basically in the net already. So Maddison's first free kick of his Spurs career, that's gone in. So well done to him. And his 50th Premier League goal. Well done, Maddison. You came on for a very short time, but you showed your worth there. And very good display. Very good display. Manchester United 1, Chelsea 1. And that was the exact score. This was my third and final exactly correct score. I said it would be Man United 1, Chelsea 1, just because, this is kind of a very odd period for Man United. They're in between managers. They've got Van Nistelrooy there, but everyone's kind of just waiting for Amorim. Enzo Maresca, him and Ruud van Nistelrooy have a very, jovial, used to play on the same teams together, very jovial atmosphere between the two of them. Seemed very relaxed before the game, smiling, laughing together, almost as if, a draw, they were kind of saying to each other before the game, a draw is fine, it keeps us ball ticking for both of us. Enzo was like, I know you're interim, it's fine, let's just get a draw here, we'll carry on afterwards, put our focuses wherever we need to. And and it's actually the most drawed fixture in Premier League history. And yet again, it ended in a draw. It was Manchester United 1, Chelsea 1. But yeah, they are now they've got a game against Leicester. They've got a game against Leicester on the weekend. They're playing PAOK in Europa League tonight, and then Ruben Amorim will be in charge for their next game. So Amorim's first game, Charge United, will be against Ipswich Town. So you would think he starts off his career with a 3-pointer. All right, last game, Fulham 2, Brentford 1. I predicted it would be Fulham 2, Brentford 0. And I thought this would be a lot more straightforward for Fulham. I thought Fulham, they've looked very good. They've got good confidence, especially at home. So I thought they'd comfortably get a nice, by 80 minutes or so, they've got a 2-0 victory. What actually happened is they were down 1-0 up until the 92nd minute. And then in the 92nd and 97th minute, Harry Wilson, who'd only just come on a couple of minutes before, scores a double, and Fulham get all 3 points. That's amazing. That's a really incredible feeling. As Spurs, we kind of know that from also when we played Sheffield United last season, a very similar circumstance. Added time was coming. It was still 1-0 down. We managed to score 2 quick-fire goals. And Fulham just did the exact same thing on their side of London. They were 1-0 down going into extra time. They ended up scoring 2 goals and winning 2-1. It's a really brilliant result for Fulham, which takes them into the top half of the league. But it's a very damning result for Brentford, who really probably would have liked to have gotten all 3 points in this game, because it is going to be difficult for Brentford to pick up 3-pointers throughout this league. I think they can get a lot of 1-pointers in, but yeah, they really want to get some 3-pointers going. And yeah, Fulham just had too much. This guy was just a game changer for them. One man can change the game, and Fulham showed that. So yeah, that's my reactions to Premier League Game Week 10. And as always, come on, you Spurs.